Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports. And this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there. This is your co-host, Ben Dickerson. A wonderful week of NFL football, a wonderful week of fantasy semifinal football, and a lot of fantasy leagues out there. Unfortunately, in two of my money leagues, I lost semifinal games. I'm extremely upset, but I will try not to let it bother the video tonight as we go through week 15.
The
Oh, by the way, the good part about last week, what was the bias's winning percentage, sir?
0.75, 75% last week.
Okay, well, Ben's was 87.5. That is
87.5.
correct. I won 14 out of 16 games.
Holy
Bam.
mackerel. Jiminy Christmas, man.
I,
So, okay, we'll talk about the games that differentiated the percentages there. So did you get one of the big losses that no one was expecting, like the Rams getting beat by the Jets? You didn't call that one, did you?
no, I didn't call that one.
Did you call the Raiders Chargers?
I did have the Chargers.
Okay. I had the Raiders on that one. That was
I had the Cowboys beating the Niners.
and yeah, remember I said I was afraid of that.
Yep. Yep.
I was like, I wasn't feeling comfortable with that. And now CJ Beathard is going to be starting for the Niners because Nick the Quick is out for the season again.
There's nothing quick about Nick.
Let me see. The Niners. I didn't miss much else. Now you didn't call the Bengals, did you?
No. No. The Jets win and the Bengals win are the two that I missed. I got everything else.
Okay. Well, you know something. At a certain point, one or two games either way really knocks your percentage up. So you got 14 out of 16. The bias was good at 12 out of 16. That's good for both of them.
Yeah, basically I got all 12. All 12 that the bias got, I agreed with.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. And then I made two off the wall that got, that came out to be wins. So good week though. Great week.
Not bad. All right, so we're going to kick this off with the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. I put some good information in place for us, Benny. I think that you're going to be surprised at what you see here. So we're going to start out with the scoring rankings. Points for through week 15 in the NFL. Can you see that okay?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Coffee, love coffee. Okay. Give everyone a chance to kind of soak this in. The E stands for eliminated. You've still got some teams, though, that are on the lower half of the scoring, especially those in the crazy NFC East, the NFC Central, the NFC West, the AFC East. Those are some of the places where things are not yet settled. And interestingly, the number one scoring team in the league, 1 point ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs, has yet to clinch anything. And that's the Tennessee Titans at 436 points scored, one ahead of the Chiefs at 435, who are one ahead of the Packers. That's a three-man race right there, Benny.
Yes, it
How
is.
you like that? Yeah, so number 1, 2, and 3, Benny, are all like right there, consecutive. You know, crowding them top three spots. You got 4 more teams in the 400 range: the Seahawks, Bills, Ravens, and the Buccaneers, all in that 400 range. Just going down, you see who again has clinched at least the playoff spot. You're looking at the Saints, the Steelers, and that's pretty much it on that side. So before we move to points against, anything you want to say on that?
Yes, how the mighty have fallen. Pittsburgh Steelers at number 13.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. Atlanta Falcons were racking up numbers. Matt Ryan was leading the league in passing yardage, and boom, where are we? Number 15. Oh my goodness, what is going on here? Meanwhile, sustainable great offenses like the Seattle Seahawks, who have actually throttled it down a little bit, are still up near the top. The Buffalo Bills, who've been kind of chugging along as a really good offense, but not a great one, look like they're about to turn it on.
Bills look very, very interesting, especially the way the quarterback has stepped up his game. He's reading, he's analyzing, he's running when it's opportune. All the little things that you want him to do, especially as a physical, mobile type quarterback. So yeah, really nice, really nice. And I mean, Ben, we're seeing a changeover to this mobile quarterback thing in the NFL now. I mean, okay, maybe not the Tennessee Titans too much, excuse me, but the mobility of Mahomes, of Aaron, Wilson, Josh, Lamar. I'm going straight down the scoring numbers there. We get to the Buccaneers and say, okay, not so mobile. We look at the Colts, not so mobile. The Saints. Now the Saints, I talked about the Saints in one of the write-ups, and I was saying how interesting they are because they're one of the um, few teams that have a dual quarterback system that actually works. Um, Funny thing is, when Drew Brees went down, I thought Jameis was going to step in the Drew Brees role, and they were going to keep Taysom Hill in his role and still work that dual quarterback thing. Uh, Jameis obviously didn't impress them enough to put him in that role, um, understanding that Taysom's been there for a while, but Jameis is a starting quarterback. So, I was looking to see whether or not he was going to come in there and show them something that's like, oh my goodness, look what we found. A little coaching up here, a little help with from the offense there. We can cut those interceptions down, and we have ourselves an effective quarterback. But that didn't happen like that. So yeah, interesting to see who's in the area. Steelers are just above the Vikings. The Dolphins at 16 have playoff hopes, but they're going to have to pick it up. And the the Rams at 17, barely ahead of the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys have big numbers early on before Dak got hurt. So those numbers are included there. You might have to look at the last 5 games or so to see the difference in the production. So, but yeah, Rams, a playoff team, you expect to see that. Um, the Ravens, the Buccaneers, Colts, all of those guys, they got work to do. Let's look at the defensive part, unless you have something else you want to say.
No, I'm good.
Points against. Defense wins championships, and look who's in first place. Those Miami Dolphins, man. I mean, I don't know who I like more just because they keep surprising to the upside. The Dolphins or the Bills, they keep surprising to the upside.
Well, you got to pick one because they're in the same division now. The Dolphins are much improved and a lot faster improved than I think most people expected them to be. The Bills, they've been on the cusp of greatness for a minute now, so I expected to see that from them. Dolphins is a little surprising.
Well, the other surprise, your Washington football team coming in at fifth, giving up 295 ahead of the Saints, the Patriots, and the Chiefs. Your Giants coming in at ninth. Your Giants have moved up the ladder slowly every week.
Yo, they move one spot a week, bro. The last 3 weeks, they went from 11 to 10 to 9. Yes. I have to love it. I have to love it. I got nothing else to go on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they're ahead of the Bears. They're ahead of the Colts, teams that have what we consider good defenses, ahead of the Buccaneers. So they're ahead of a number of teams. Now, here we have the couple teams that I've been talking about who have those top-ranked offenses, but somewhat questionable defenses. Both of these two teams, the Packers and the Seahawks, have moved their defenses up a little bit. And strangely enough, they're tied for points against as of right now. So, wow, And
yeah,
I said
both of them have basically the same problem. They can't stop the run. The Seahawks have gotten a little bit better at it. The Packers are still pretty bad against the run. The Seahawks also have kind of cranked up their pass rush a little bit, but I haven't seen too much difference from the Packers. I don't know.
Well, the other interesting tie at 21 and 22 is the Titans and the Eagles, both of which are ahead of the Browns. It's amazing how much notoriety the Browns are getting for a team who's really still has some problems.
Well, I mean, but the Browns, there's a lot more teams with a lot more glaring problems than the Browns have. And let's remember, the Browns have only lost what? 5 games, 4 games, 3 games?
Well, they are interesting in that respect, in that their win-loss record looks better than their net point record.
Exactly.
I will say that much.
A lot of their games are close. The scores are close.
When I look at the Browns, let's see here. 10-4, second place.
Right.
10-4. Yeah.
So if you're that low on points against, that means in those 4 losses, they were high-scoring games. Because I don't remember anybody blowing them out.
I think maybe early on they took one on the chin, and that might have been by the likes of.
That could be.
The Ravens, 38-6.
Yeah, okay. There's the skew, the infamous skew.
The infamous skew is back.
Right. The Cleveland Browns actually have a pretty decent defense overall. So, and we got to remember, this is points against, which is obviously the most important thing, because points or lack of points is what wins or loses ball games. But defensively overall, you got to look at run defense, pass defense. How do they do when they're ahead? How do they do when they're behind? Do they get a lot of sacks? All that other stuff comes into it. But when we're just looking at points against, a skew in a game like that can do a lot of damage to your ranking.
Well, we've had some teams who have improved in the last 3 games. Seattle is giving up an average of 24 points a game, but in the last 3 games, they've only given up an average of 11.7.
Yes.
So they've improved in that manner. Miami also, Washington, the Rams, and Green Bay. Green Bay for the year is 24.2, for last 3, 18.7. So these guys are getting their act together a little bit defensively, which is why some of these matchups that we're going to be talking about in the next segment of the Bias Plus report, man, there's some games getting ready to pop off this weekend. All right, points against. Anything else you want on this?
No, everything seems to be rounded in shape. As far as like the top 10 is concerned, obviously the Miami Dolphins are playing better and better every week and have climbed the ladder. The Giants are climbing the ladder very slowly. The Washington football team has climbed the ladder steadily since the beginning of the season, and they deserve to be right where they are. They keep scores down. They keep their offense in the game. They may not always win, but they're always a threat to win. Saints are faltering. Patriots are faltering. Ravens dropped a little but came back. So there's a lot of jostling going on, and there's only 2 games left in the season. So these stats are all important.
Yeah, 2 games, and these schedules are so crazy. All right, ready to move to our favorite person? I shouldn't say person, but Todd, turnover differential. All right, so when you talk about defense, I look at turnover differential because if it's positive, most of the time that has something to do with your defense. Look who's in first place. Tennessee tied with the Colts at plus 12, a turnover differential, and the Dolphins with their Pro Bowl. Is he a safety, the guy that was leading the league in interceptions
Who's that?
for the Dolphins? But he was a big part of that, of
He's a
this.
young guy, though. I don't know what year he's in.
Yeah. You got the Chiefs and the Steelers tied at plus 8. Browns and Saints tied at plus 6. Packers and Bucks tied at plus 5. Look at these ties. This is crazy. Panthers and Ravens tied at 4. And then you go down from there. Your Giants are breaking even at 0, along with the Cardinals. Those are another team. Now your Rams are -1. These are teams that are still in the hunt. Your Washington team -3. Your Bears are -4. The Vikings, they're not completely out of it, but I don't think they're doing anything. So these teams from down here, except for maybe the Eagles, now that the Eagles have a different quarterback, that turnover differential hopefully will lessen, do somewhat. We'll see. Jalen's getting his run. He's getting his chance.
Yeah, no, I expected to get better, but my thing is, I'm not surprised at all. Actually, -7 is pretty good. I thought it would be worse than that. When your quarterback is leading the league in taking sacks and leading the league in throwing interceptions, that doesn't look too good, because when you lead the league in sacks, that means you're going to fumble quite a bit. So, yeah, they've earned that -7.
There you go. And they were a lot lower than that early on, no doubt about it. They were closer to 32. Maybe not 32, but they were in that 30 range. So, all right. Well, congratulations to the Titans and the Colts, tied at plus 12 in the turnover differential. All right. Let's move on to the main number that we track on a weekly basis. That would be net points, net margin, net win margin, however you want to say it. Look who's in first place there. The Chiefs at 125. So we didn't put them there. They put themselves there. Ravens, again, one of those teams, plus 116. Not yet clinched anything. They let the Steelers take that from them, who are actually behind them in net points, 102. Saints at 100. Packers at plus 95. So what do you see out of this net point chart here?
Well, let me see. Now, we just went over the top 5. Boom, bang, bang, boom. I don't really have any problem with that. I'm looking down beyond that because, again, like I said, when we were talking about points 4, I see some offenses starting to really get it into gear, and I see some other offenses that seem to be kind of losing their edge a little bit, specifically the Pittsburgh Steelers. Drop passes, crazy throws. I don't want to get too deep into one team, but again, we're kind of going here and here like this with these rankings, and you're going to see them change again after these next 2 weeks. But I would say the teams with the staying power are the teams like the Chiefs. I still believe in the Saints, the Packers, and then I think the Buccaneers are getting it in gear. The Dolphins are just chugging along. Colts, Rams, who else we got here? Titans are surging. The Titans are surging. That's a team to look out for. And, of course, the Buffalo Bills are surging also, another team to look out for. So even though Buffalo Bills are sitting at 12, when I would have thought that they would be in our top 10, They've already clinched, clinched playoff spot? No, X has clinched the playoff spot, right? So Z means that they clinched,
They won the division.
they won the division.
First time since 1995.
And that's wonderful. And I applaud them for that. So, yeah, everything looks pretty normal here.
They said most of the guys on the team were not even born.
Yeah, right. It would be right.
So congratulations to them. The Sterling Pro Football Net Point Power Rankings. Again, this is simple net points where you take a look at points for and subtract the points against, and the differential is your net points. And that's how we rank them on the Sterling Pro Football Net Point Power Rankings. Next up, the Bias Plus reports. So we've taken a look at the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. We looked at the turnover differential. And when we look at matchups and we utilize those two statistics, put them together, we call that the Bias Plus report. The bias goes to the favorite team with the greater of net points and or the greater of turnover differential. When you combine them, it's the greater of the two. So let's get ready to kick it off with the first game. Benny, this is a crazy week. First of all, there is no Thursday night game. What are we going to do?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to get up Friday morning. We're going to open up our gifts, and then we're going to watch football on Friday afternoon.
4:30 p.m. Minnesota at New Orleans. Bias Plus score 139 favors the Saints. So we got your boy Kirk Cousins going in to see what he can do with that Saints defense, and Drew Brees getting a second week now under his belt. He looked a little shaky last week, not quite up to par yet from coming back from his injury. That time off didn't seem to help him, but he might be humming by the time this game gets going. What do you have for this?
Well, Drew Brees was out for at least a month. I know he missed at least 4 or 5 games. Got 11 fractured ribs. I mean, that's nothing to laugh at. You know what I mean? Not to mention the punctured lungs. So, yeah, I expected him to show a little bit of rust when he first came out. They got off to a slow start, fell behind 14-0 at halftime. Actually, they were down 14-0 in the first quarter. So, you know, he had his work cut out for him. But he went 15-34, 234 yards. That's not bad. It's not terrible. It's not quite, a little over less than 50%. But he did throw 3 touchdown passes, only 1 interception. Not bad for a guy that hadn't played in a month. So I thought he did really well. Got a lot of help from Alvin Kamara. Ran the ball 11 times for 54 yards. He had 3 catches for 40 yards, 1 touchdown on a pass. Here's my thing. For the Saints to really be as good as they need to be, and I don't know what Drew Brees was trying to prove, that maybe he could get the ball downfield when people thought that he couldn't or something. He knows doggone well he checks down to Alvin Kamara a lot more than 5 times in a game. That game would have been much easier for them if he had thrown the ball to Kamara even more. 5 catches. I'm sorry. He had I lost my place here. Yeah, 3 catches. He ran 40 yards with only 3 catches, and he scored a touchdown. So, especially with Mike Thomas being out, they'd have been a lot more successful. He got the ball to Alvin Kamara. But they did good enough to win the game. That's all that matters. And it's funny because the Vikings lost to Chicago 33-27. Sounds like it was a really good game. It was. The problem for the Vikings was when it came time for Kirk Cousins to pull him out of the fire, he couldn't do it because Dalvin Cook actually had a good game. Carried the ball 24 times for 132 yards, and he scored a touchdown, and he caught 5 passes for 27 yards. Justin Jefferson had a great game, caught 8 balls for 104 yards. Adam Thielen, however, who is still, I don't care how good Justin Jefferson is, Adam Thielen is his main target, but he could only catch him. He could only get 2 passes to him. He did score a touchdown, but he only caught 2 balls. So that was a problem right there. So Kirk was kind of, I don't want to say he was shaky, but early on he was. He did throw for 271 yards. He did throw 2 touchdown passes, but he also did throw 1 interception. They couldn't pull it out at the end, hence the 33-27 score. I will say this. They did fairly well, but not well enough to win the game. The Bears defense is not all it is cracked up to be, and we know the Vikings defense isn't really cracked up to be good at all. So this was a very winnable game for them. They couldn't get it done. I'm going to take the Saints in this one. I think the Saints will beat the Vikings. I think they're probably going to have the same type of an outcome. Good game by Dalvin Cook. Either Thielen or Jefferson is going to get off. But when it gets to crunch time, they won't be able to find the end zone, and the Saints will beat them.
Well, the Saints, they did pretty well. They put 29 points up on KC. KC, put up 32. Patrick Mahomes had a few plays that were just ridiculous. The one play where he was rolling to the left and he was running out of green real fast, coming up on the sideline, and he just tossed that ball toward the end zone. And I couldn't see. I thought he was throwing it away. I really did. But the guy in the back of the end zone was on toe drag swag on Good Morning Football. I mean, he really put it down, and that was just, you can't always see what they see, I guess, bottom line, because I didn't see anything that was open, and he obviously did. And the guy was behind like 2 or 3 layers of people, so it was an amazing catch, an amazing throw. So you're going with the Saints, bias plus score of 139. That's a nice, healthy bias. They should get that done. And again, one of the few teams with 2 quarterbacks, a 2-quarterback type system. The mobile guy, Taysom Hill, the pocket guy, Drew Brees. I think it's an experiment that I admire the fact that they can do that, because so many people say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. But they're able to pull that off. So
yeah, let me just say, because you mentioned that a little earlier, about the Winston Taysom Hill thing. And it's I mean, probably people that live in New Orleans and listen to talk radio and hear all the interviews and what have you might have a better take on this. But it seems to me like when they went out and got Jameis Winston, I believe that they truly did want him to be the backup quarterback. But it came somewhere along the line, I think the urge to find out exactly what they had in Taysom Hill overtook the urge to let's just get Jameis out there and see if we can just keep on rolling. You know what I mean? There came a point where they had to make that decision. We have Jameis Winston. I don't think it's a situation where they weren't satisfied with him. I could be wrong. I'm not in practice. I'm just saying somewhere along the line, they decided, you know what? Let's put Taysom out there and let's see if we can figure out what we've got here. Because let's face it, when Breeze is done, Jameis probably won't even still be on the team. You know what I mean? Taysom Hill is their quarterback of the future. And they decided, let's take a look at him now. And they won some games.
Quarterback of the future, eh?
Yep.
Well, I guess, all that's possible. Everything that you're saying is possible. Somewhere in the back of my mind, however, I'm thinking Jameis simply did not impress them enough, because their number one goal is to win. And if I think that if they thought Jameis was going to give them a significant advantage toward winning over Taysom Hill, they'd have went with Jameis. But I don't think that he showed them that much that they were like, okay, because if it was a toss-up between him and Taysom, and they're like, okay, Jameis is okay, Taysom is okay too, but we know what Taysom can do in addition. That's what I believe that was all about. So next up, Buccaneers at Detroit Lions, bias plus score of 190. favors the Buccaneers. You think the Lions can get it done?
Do I think the Lions can get it done? No, I do not think the Lions can get it done. They got blown out last week by the Titans. They had to get Stafford out of there in the fourth quarter before he got his head ripped off. So no, I don't think the Lions can win at all. I got to go with the Bucs on this. Even though Tom Brady came out a little shaky in the beginning of the game, actually he was a lot shaky. Didn't look right. I don't like these little lapses that I'm seeing with Tom Brady coming out looking sloppy, and then all of a sudden he snaps out of it. I'm like, why are you in these little funks in the first half of these games? I don't understand. And they didn't have Ronald Jones. He's out with COVID and a fractured finger. So they had to go with Fournette at the running game. And I don't think anybody on that team really believes in Leonard Fournette. Well, I'll be surprised if he's on that team next year too. So they didn't have the running game to help them along until Brady could get to some play action and stuff that maybe would make him feel more comfortable. But the great thing was they were playing Atlanta. So, we had glowing things to say about the Atlanta defense. They went in at halftime and must have got drunk or something, because when they came out, they were done. And Brady went to work. 31 of 45, 390, 2 touchdowns. That's all she wrote. So, yeah, take the Bucs.
Well, not only are they favored by the Bias Plus, but they're 7.5-point favorites in Vegas with those gambling guys. Okay, next up. My beloved 49ers, eliminated, done, out. At the Cardinals, within the division. Now the Cardinals got to keep it going. They can't let the Niners come in and win. They can't let CJ Beathard come in and beat them. I believe Mostert is out.
Mostert's out. Mostert's on IR. Yeah, he's got the high ankle sprain on the same ankle that he hurt.
Man,
so they're going to shut him down.
So it's all about CJ Beathard. It's all about Kyler. Bias Plus score 92 favors Kyler and the Cardinals. Who you got?
Kyler. Well, they played the Eagles last week. I was really looking forward to that game. You had the battle of the Oklahoma quarterbacks. Was another look at Jalen Hurts. So everybody was real excited for that game. Kyler Murray was 27 of 36, not bad at all. 406 yards, really, really good. 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception, extra good. And I've been complaining about I haven't been complaining, but I've been speculating that perhaps his shoulder wasn't 100% because he hadn't been running. Carried the ball 8 times, 29 yards, also ran 1 in for a touchdown. So Kyler Murray had a really good day. DeAndre Hopkins had a monster day. I didn't even bother to write his stats down because that catch he made, that last touch, that was a thing of beauty. They could put that on a loop and just keep it on my TV all day long at different angles, and I'll be satisfied. Now, the Niners, on the other hand, played the Dallas Cowboys. I called this one a win for the Dallas Cowboys because I just can't put any trust in Nick Mullins, and neither should anyone else. They lost the game 41-33. He was 21 of 36, 219 yards. He did throw 2 touchdowns, but he also threw 2 interceptions. And now, guess what? He needs elbow surgery. Okay? He's out. He's got an elbow. They're talking about Tommy John surgery, which is the surgery they do for pitchers in baseball. So he's going to be down. He's going to be down for a while. That injury has a long recovery time attached to it. We'll see what CJ Beathard has to offer. Like you said, Mostert is down. Jeff Wilson was questionable, but he did practice in full today. So it looks like he'll be the number 1 running back. I don't know what you're going to get out of Tevin Coleman. I have no idea. McKinnon is pretty much relegated to passing downs again. Your offense is getting real helter-skelter, man. I can't trust these guys. I'm going to go with the Cardinals to beat you guys and put you out of your misery. Are you already mathematically out of it?
I do believe. I do believe.
Yeah,
I don't think we can win our way into this.
Okay. Well, they pulled up the covers now, so you can go to sleep.
All right, enough of that. Dolphins at Raiders. Raiders. Last plus score 155 favors the Dolphins. Those surprising Dolphins. Even the coach is getting a little bit of buzz for Coach of the Year, I hear.
I called it. I called it 2 weeks ago. I put him up for it 2 weeks ago. That's my man. That's my man. I tell you what, they beat New England last week. Now, granted, New England is not the Patriots of old, but the Dolphins came in with several playmakers being injured. Devontae Parker, Myles Gaskin, the number one running back. I think they were missing a lineman or two. It was a mess. But Tua Tagovailoa had a quiet day through the air, 20 of 26, still efficient with his throws, 145 yards. He didn't throw any touchdowns, and he did throw one interception. I think he had a red zone throws, like a 50-50 ball, and it got picked off. But he did run in 2 scores on the ground. So, again, like we were talking about dual threat quarterbacks, these guys are getting in the red zone, and they're vulturing these TDs away from the running backs with play action or just simply just running it in on rollouts. And Tua can do that kind of thing. Salvin Ahmed, who is the running back who took Myles Gaskin's place, had a really good day. He had 23 carries for 122 yards and 1 touchdown. And he had a catch. Oh, he scored a 2-point conversion also. So they had a successful 2-point conversion in that game, which they ended up winning over the Patriots 22-12. So, again, I like the Dolphins. I like what they're doing. The Raiders, on the other hand, seem to be kind of coming apart at the seams. They lost to the Chargers 30-27. The game did go to overtime, but let's remember these two teams both have pretty exciting offenses with playmakers and quarterbacks that really like to throw it around, but their defenses are both extremely lacking. So, it's not like it was a slugfest, but it seems like that when you look at the score and the fact that it went to overtime. Bottom line is Derek Carr went out early. They had to go with Marcus Mariota. I forgot Marcus Mariota was even on their team. He came out firing.
He looked kind of good, didn't he?
He didn't look anything like the Marcus Mariota that the Tennessee Titans felt like they had to get rid of. And believe me, when he was on that team, I'm not mad at them for getting rid of them. He was a mess. He was a mess. He could barely take a snap. He looked completely different.
Kind of like Wentz in that situation. Makes you wonder if he gets in a different situation and how that might change his performance level.
Like he had any confidence at all. And now he came in and went right to work. This was his first action of the season. He went 17 of 28, 226 yards. He threw a touchdown. He threw an interception, but he ran the ball. Remember Oregon? Remember Marcus Mariota? Yeah, he ran the ball 9 times for 88 yards and another score. Unfortunately,
I think maybe the all of the running mobile quarterbacks now has maybe boosted his confidence that it's okay to take off. You know what I mean? And use that. And I'm not the biggest proponent of that. I want the guy to have that dual capability, but let's face it, when the opportunity presents itself and you have a mobile quarterback and can get that first down and keep the sticks moving, that's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know why he had so much trouble in Tennessee, but like I said, there may be a quarterback controversy in Las Vegas next year. If Derek Carr's like, I'm okay, I can come back. The dude looked like his groin dropped out of his pants. That was bad. So we might get to see Mariota again. Either way, though, I'm taking the Dolphins in this one. I think the defense is a little bit too good. I think they'll tackle a lot better than what Mariota saw last week. And they're going to force him to beat them through the air, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that.
Okay, fine. Falcons at Chiefs. Bias plus score 128 favors the Chiefs. No surprise there. No surprise there. Who do you have?
Well, obviously I'm going to go with the Chiefs, especially since they're playing the Falcons. Number one, the Falcons showed the propensity to fall apart in the second half of games the same way they had. We've seen this too many times, okay? From the Super Bowl they played against New England to a couple times this season already, plenty of times last season. I don't even want to say their defense is bad. They just, when they go bad, they go completely bad. Like they can't stop you through the air. They can't tackle and stop people on the ground. It's just, I don't know what to say. And the crazy thing is, we were singing Raheem Brock's praises, and I'm sorry, Raheem Brock. He's from Philly. He used to play for the Colts. Raheem Morris, okay? And he's a defensive guy. And just when we thought he had them fixed, nah, they throw up a stinker like they did last week. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Mahomes didn't really play well this past week, to tell you the truth. And that was a pretty competitive matchup. Everybody was looking forward to it. Breeze was back and all that stuff. Score was 32-29. They were able to win, but basically it was because Mahomes was able to make a couple of magical throws and make a couple of really great plays. That play that you described earlier, only he can make that throw. Only he could make that throw. He threw that ball to a spot. He saw Mecole Hardman coming across the back of the end zone. The guy was covered, and there was another receiver in the DB shallower in the end zone, kind of in the area where he had to run behind them. And he threw it to the spot. Hardman put his hands out to the spot, caught the ball, put his feet down, boom. Very difficult to see without the replay. So again, that was a great play. Other than that, he didn't really play that well. He was under a lot of pressure. Saints defense was all over him. I think he got sacked 4 times, took a lot of hits. He only threw for 254 yards, but he scores touchdowns. So that's the difference. But anyway, yeah, that's an easy one. Take the Chiefs.
Yeah, I didn't think you were going to get a little carried away with yourself on that one there, buddy. All right, Falcons at Chiefs, taking the Chiefs. Browns at Jets. Bias plus score of 207 favors the Browns. Now, Cleveland was net point -6. Yes, and the Jets are net point -207. So the difference is in your turnover differential there. But long story short, the Browns look good here, and I don't think the Jets can do this 2 weeks in a row. What do you think?
No, I really don't. I think that the Jets, who beat the Rams last week 23-20, caught the Rams at the right time. It's a good possibility that the Rams were looking ahead to the Seahawks game this week and kind of took the Jets for granted. The game was at home for the Rams, so I'm a little surprised. I thought they'd be a little bit more dialed in for a game like this, but you know, from the pros on down to Little League, man, it's really, really difficult for coaches to sell the whole, you know, respect your opponent, come at them hard. Remember when we played for the Jaguars? George Robinson said, kill a gnat with a sledgehammer. You don't remember that, do you?
Not necessarily. No.
Yeah, that was one of his famous sayings, kill a gnat with a sledgehammer. It's really difficult to get guys to get hyped up for teams that they really don't believe have a chance against them. And they got caught up. Okay, what are you going to do? Yeah, but anyway, enough of that. Forget about the
I
Jets.
called last Sunday the actual any given Sunday that they talk about when they say any given Sunday was last Sunday.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any given Sunday. And the reasoning for it could be a whole plethora of things. Could be injuries. At this point, it could be COVID. Guys go down. Guys take teams lightly. Injury during the game, could be anything. But the bottom line is the Browns are far superior to the Jets. And the Rams were far superior to the Jets too. But the Rams didn't take the game seriously. I am positive that the Browns will, because the Browns are not going to forget that every game means something when you're pushing for a division title. The Rams were thinking, we played the Seahawks in 2 weeks. We beat them. We can win the division. No, bro. You win this game you just blew, and you could have locked up the division. They messed up.
There you go. They messed up. Famous last words.
but enough of the Rams. Forget about the Jets. Take the Browns. Baker is cooking. He torched the Giants secondary. My boy, I had little burn marks on my hat. I had to cover them up. It was awful.
Now you know how I feel when Josh, why do I always forget his name, for the Bills?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen was torturing my poor Niners, carving them up. Just carving my Niners.
And people are still trying to talk bad about Baker, but they're running out of bad things to say, man. He doesn't say stupid stuff in interviews anymore. He doesn't play around on the sideline anymore. Excuse me. He is all business, man. He is all business. I'm loving Baker Mayfield right now. He is low-key on the MVP list. Don't tell anybody. He's having a great season. Chubb and Hunt combined for 71 yards on the ground. No big deal. But Baker threw for 297 and 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. And he threw passes to 8 different receivers. So the Baker Mayfield experience is working out quite well. Seems that he was probably okay all along. They just had to get their coaching thing together. But Stefanski and him are a good pair, and the Browns will go far.
All right, so you're taking the Browns. Next up, Colts at Steelers. Oh, wait a minute. Is this one of the potential intriguing games of the week for me? Colts at Steelers, bias plus 19. Bias plus score of 19 favors the Steelers over the Colts. Now, I know everybody's scared to take the Steelers. You don't know what you're going to get from those guys. The first question is Juju going to be dancing? Wait a minute, they're home, so he can go dance on his own emblem in the middle of the field and not get blasted by the Colts. But you know the one thing that I thought about with the Bengals when that happened last week, when they blasted him and he was dancing on their, on their logo and all of that, is that if the Bengals learned anything, it was that this is a hitting game. And they simply out-hit the Steelers last week. And that goes so far in a football game. You might not be the most skilled, you might not be the most talented, but if you can give them the most beat up in football, I always say it's the closest thing to boxing. Body blows here and body blows there, and by the fourth quarter, they ducking and dodging, and no punches even getting thrown at them. So, that's what I hope that the Bengals learned out of that situation, and that if they can be that physical with the Steelers, and if they play with that all season, that had a different record, we'll see how they go out with this. But Colts are coming in. Are they going to be able to be more physical than the Steelers? Who do you have?
Well, first of all, I haven't seen much physicality out of the Steelers to really talk about any doggone way. I mean, Minkah Fitzpatrick is back there flying around, but I don't see anything happening with anybody else. They have several starting linebackers that are injured, so that doesn't help. And their pass rush is kind of lacking. They're having trouble stopping the run. In fact, we'll talk more about that and talk more about the Bengals and their approach to that game when we get to the Bengals. But for now, Big Ben looks terrible. He's inaccurate. The receivers are still dropping passes. Their run game is little to none. Connor's hurt again, evidently. Snell is not getting it done. The other guy's name is McFarland. They just don't have it. They really just don't have it. They probably need to look for a running back in the draft because their backups to Connor are not getting it done. And Connor doesn't look like he's fully recovered from COVID, if you ask me. So, yeah, I can't take the Steelers in this game. The Colts are looking great. Phillip Rivers is like the poster boy for game managers. He makes very little mistakes, if any. He had no turnovers in their game against Houston, which they won 27-20. He was 22 of 28, extremely efficient, 228 yards. Not a lot, but enough. Threw 2 touchdown passes. Like I said, no interceptions, no fumbles. He's thrown multiple touchdowns in the last 5 weeks. So he's not a one-touchdown guy. So anybody that thinks Phillip Rivers is getting near the end of his rope, yeah, he is. But guess what? He can still put the ball in the end zone, okay? And he can still lead teams downfield. And he can't run a lick, okay? But he gets it done. It helps that he has Jonathan Taylor, who's really looking great. He started off the season looking great, faltered a little bit, and now he's really coming on strong as the number 1 running back on that team. He carried the ball 16 times, 83 yards, 1 touchdown. Light day for him. The defense is what really made the difference. And when they play the Steelers, we always talk about the vaunted Steelers defense, but their defense is beginning to falter. And the Colts defense, who's had their bumps and bruises, is really starting to come on. They had 5 sacks on Deshaun, and they forced 2 fumbles and recovered 2 fumbles. So big game for them. I think the Colts come through. I think they go into Pittsburgh and they get it done.
Well, I don't know how much faltering the Steelers defense is because they're still ranked 2nd in terms of points allowed. So I'm sorry.
Skew. Early season skew, bro. Last 3 weeks, they look like some crap. They can't stop anybody.
I would need to take a look at that real quick to see what they looked like over the last 3 weeks. But yeah, I know what you're saying. As a matter of fact, and if I look at opponents' points per game over the last 3 weeks, yeah, you might be right. Where's Pittsburgh at? Okay, yeah, they're about halfway down the list here, and giving up 25.3 points on average per game in the last 3. Their average for 2020 is 18.9. So there you go. They're giving up a lot more points than their average. So they're pushing that average of points that they're giving up. More points and more points. They're pushing it higher. But yeah, the skew is probably in effect for them. So you're going with the Steelers. Next up, the Bears at the Jaguars.
No, I am not going with the Steelers. I'm going with the Colts.
Oh, you're going with the Colts. Okay. All right. That's right. You did say that.
Bias. The last time the Steelers won a game was against Baltimore in Week 12. They scored 19 points. Then they lost to Washington. They scored 17. They lost to Buffalo. They scored 15. They lost to Cincinnati. They scored 17. They in trouble. They in trouble, bro.
That's can't argue with you at all. Can't argue with you at all. The skew is what it is. And again, net point power rankings reflects your entire season. So, you know, just like you're just like with the Browns, you know, they might be giving up a lot of points, but their record looks good. So that's what's holding them up. Bears at Jaguars. Bias plus score 148 favors the Bears.
Yeah.
Mitch.
Your buddy hasn't been Trubiskying it up too much lately.
Oh man, people don't know what to say about him, man. He's playing pretty well.
Yeah. And, you know, if I'm not mistaken, as a starter this season, he's like 5-2. So, you know, when he's bad, he's really bad. And his mistakes are so ugly that we kind of, you know, we make fun of him. But they went into Minnesota and they won the game. Let's see. Well, he didn't have a great day, but it wasn't a bad day. 13 to 21, so he didn't have to throw the ball a lot. 202 yards. He did throw a touchdown. He did throw one interception. But the Bears, they led throughout the game. I don't think they were ever behind.
This was a running back battle.
Yes, it was running back battle. Dalvin Cook and David Montgomery. And again, and I think I said something last week and probably the week before, David Montgomery has risen from the dead. David Montgomery was a rookie running back last year that people were really high on. And I was like, yo, this dude is a bust. The first person that would touch him, he would fall down. You never had to gang tackle him. He never broke tackles. He had trouble finding the hole. If he had to bounce it outside, he didn't have the speed to turn the corner. I'm like, this dude is a bust. All of a sudden, he looks like a real NFL running back right now. In fact, against Minnesota, he ran the ball 32 times for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. Those 32 carries and 146 yards were both career highs. I know it's only his second year, but I'm saying those are career highs. Okay.
Wait, those are highs. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and you've probably seen this, they're starting to talk about his numbers relationship to people like Gale Sayers.
His workload, he gets a lot of carries and he's cranking out a lot of, he's pushing Derrick Henry volume. That's how much they trust him. And that's how well he's been playing. And obviously, if you have a good running back, then you can keep the Trubisky stuff down. See, that's why he didn't help them last year. And that's why Trubisky was so bad last year, because they didn't have a running game. And so there's more pressure on him to get it done, and he couldn't get it done. Now he has help. David Montgomery is having a stellar season.
So you're going with?
I'm going with the Bears, no doubt about it. I don't even want to talk about the Jaguars.
Next up, you want to talk about the Giants? The Giants at the Ravens. Giants for the score of 187 favors the Ravens. Ben, I don't think that your team has been the bias plus buster of the week yet. The other team in New York got it done, but you have a shot. You go in there and knock off the Ravens.
I mean, yeah, we got a shot, you know. I don't think they're going to run roughshod over our defense. I really don't. But if by chance that happens, I won't be super surprised. I mean, they're really cooking right now. They took Jacksonville to the woodshed last week. Now, obviously, the Giants defense is a lot better than the Jaguars defense. But, I mean, they went to work on them boys. I don't even look at these numbers. Lamar was 17 to 22. And, you know, Lamar doesn't throw the ball a lot. He doesn't have to. But he especially doesn't. And in fact, when he has to, that's usually when they get in trouble. Okay. But he hasn't had to, because their running game, the backs and him, seem to be getting it done. His boy Marquise Brown, who was having some drops there a couple weeks ago, all of a sudden now he's catching everything. J.K. Dobbins has pretty much taken over as the lead back, which is what we expected when they drafted him. Gus Edwards is the number 2. They don't even suit Ingram up. I guess they're holding him back for emergencies. Okay, so he's been a healthy scratch for the last 2 weeks. And, of course, they have Mark Andrews, who is, I don't know, top 3, top 4 tight end in the league right now. Okay, when you talk about Kelsey and Kittle and Ertz, and then you got to start talking about Waller, and you got to talk about Andrews. So the weapons are there. Lamar even ran 10 times himself for 35 yards, and he scored a touchdown on the ground too. In fact, he didn't even play in the fourth quarter. I texted you at the end of that game. They played their 4th string quarterback. I cannot remember his name right now, but when he came in the game, I thought Lamar had changed his jersey number to 2. This guy looked just like him, ran like him, moved like him. It was just a short. He wasn't out there long, but he had me fooled there for a second. I'm like, what? They took Lamar out? I thought they took Lamar out. And I was like, oh, that's okay. So, yeah, it's some guy that was on the practice squad. I think it's his first year. This guy might be ready to compete next year because RG3 is not getting it done. I don't know about McSorley, so that could be interesting. But anyway, I digress. Take the Ravens.
No, I do want to mention, just looking online, I don't even see a fourth string quarterback after McSorley.
His name is, you know what his name is? His name is Huntley. Huntley.
Huntley?
Yeah, I forget his first name. His last name is Huntley.
Okay. Well, we'll take a look while you're running through the numbers here and see what we can find. Huntley.
Yeah.
Jason Huntley.
There you go.
Or, nope, sorry. Jason Huntley plays for the Eagles. He's a halfback. Tyler Huntley plays for the Ravens.
There you go.
He's a QB. Oh, man.
They're
He's
almost the same size. I think Lamar's got him by an inch and a few pounds.
Well, he's not, at least when I'm looking on the EA site, he's not as fast, but he has 86 speed, which for a quarterback is up there with a lot of running backs.
I didn't say he was exactly the same guy. I'm just saying when he trotted onto the field and went in the huddle and came out, I'm like, wow, okay, who's this guy? And I think they let him throw a couple passes too. I kind of lost interest in that game at the end. But anyway, let's move on.
And you have in this game
the Ravens all the way.
Going with the Ravens. I know it hurts, but you got to do it. All right. Bengals at Texans. Bias plus score of 12. Just 12. That's less than a point per game, a net point per game, and it favors the Texans. And if the Bengals heard what I said about hitting, this could be an interesting match.
All right, so I'm going to tell you why the Bengals are going to win this game and why they won the game last week against the Steelers.
Oh, shucks. Okay, go ahead, sir.
First of all, it was a masterful job of coaching by Zach Taylor and his staff, okay? They knew exactly what they had to do to even have a chance of competing against the Steelers. And what that was control the ball on the ground somehow, some way, even against the Steelers defense, so as not to be forced to put the ball in Ryan Finley's hands and make him win the game by passing the ball. That's exactly what they did. Now, where they found the chinks in the armor in the Steelers' run defense, I don't know. I assume it's film study and all that, but I'm telling you, everything they did offensively was right. Everything. I mean, even the play where Tyler Boyd missed the pass, it was over his head. But if he catches that, he scores a touchdown. He fell down, hit his head, and they had to take him out with a concussion. But that was probably his worst throw, Ryan Finley's worst throw. But the great thing was he only had to throw it 13 times. So the run game was working. And it was working with Giovanni Bernard, who's been in for Mixon, who's been injured for the last month and a half. And Giovanni Bernard hasn't done one doggone good thing all those games until he played the Steelers. 25 carries, 83 yards, and a touchdown. And he caught a pass for a touchdown. This is out of nowhere, okay? That's why I'm telling you it's coaching, all right? They knew exactly what to do. They knew where all the weaknesses were, and they exploited everything. And on top of that, they did it running the read option for 80% of the game, at least 75% of the game. Finley ran the ball 10 times for 47 yards, and he scored a touchdown on the ground.
I think when he scored that
Ryan Finley,
touchdown,
bro. Ryan Finley.
see
They
how
took a chance on winning
see
the
how
game by running him and getting him hit rather than have him try to stand in the pocket, take hits and sacks back there, and lose the game throwing the ball. Are you kidding me? That takes cojones on his part and the coaches.
that touchdown that he ran in, it was like the defenders didn't really believe he was running. They were like, "Is he really gonna?" Oh, yes, he did, didn't he?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what happens. Look, I don't want to take this too far, okay? But it's almost like when Foles was playing for the Eagles and they ran the read option a lot. You're like, he's not going to run. Why do they keep doing this? But then, they do it 27 times, and then that one time he runs. And you should be ready for that once they get in the red zone, because that's when they're going to strike. They don't want him to take off and run 15 yards downfield. Yeah, it's a big play, but he could get whacked. You know what I mean? If they're going to do it, especially with a non-running guy, they're going to do it inside the 10. That's exactly what they did.
All right. So you have
the Bengals. They're going to do it again. Remember I said, I'm going to tell you how they're going to win this game and how they won the game last week.
going against the bias. It's a small bias anyway. You think the Bengals going to take care of the Texans? Texans are.
Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, and it's crazy. If they were winning games, Deshaun would be right up there in the MVP talk. His numbers are still awesome, even with what he's working with. But they can't find the end zone and they can't stop anybody. So that's their problem. And I don't think they're going to win this game either. I think the Bengals are going to beat them.
All right, Bengals it is. Next up, Broncos at Chargers. Bias plus score 75 favors the Chargers. Yes. Broncos they have a few shining moments, just not enough.
Yeah, well, they didn't have any shining moments last week because Buffalo blew them out 48-19. They're lucky they got the 19. So there's no way I can pick them to win this game. Drew Lock does look like he's an NFL quarterback, but he still needs a lot of work, and they just have too many injuries and too much other stuff going on. They're just overmatched. The Chargers, on the other hand, even though they're lacking defensively, they do have Justin Herbert. He was 22 of 32 last week. Pretty efficient, 314 yards. He's been racking up 300 yards games all season long. 2 touchdowns, of course. Multiple touchdowns is his thing. No interceptions. And he ran the ball 4 times for 14 yards and ran in a touchdown. That's something we haven't seen. So, well, he didn't actually run it in. If I remember correctly, it was a dive over the top on the goal line. But still, I'll take it. The guy's like 6'6". So if he jumps up and he's got to get a yard, he's going to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he doesn't have to jump that far because he's already 6'6".
Right. All he has to do basically is reach out. In fact, now I remember what happened. I think I got the right thing. He tried it. He fumbled the ball into the end zone. The Chargers recovered it, but it was not called a touchdown because of the old holy roller rule. You remember that?
It went out the back of the end zone, right?
It was it didn't go out the back of the end zone. There was a play back in the day with the Oakland Raiders when Stabler was the quarterback. He threw a pass, guy was running, he fumbled the ball. Another guy came, tried to scoop it up, he hit it, it rolled into the end zone, and Dave Casper fell on it for a touchdown.
Okay.
After that play, they said you can't advance a forward fumble by 2, I'm just not saying it right, but 2 people on the same team.
Is that the one where he had the same person has to recover it?
No. Yes. Either the same person has to recover it or a defender has to at least touch it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
So if a defender jumps on it and the guy outfights him for it, then they'll give him the touchdown. So anyway, they had that play, and then that's what happened. So he is now tied with Baker Mayfield for the rookie touchdown record for touchdown passes.
Wow.
So Baker Mayfield has the record. It's 27. Herbert has 27. He's got 2 more games to break that record. So it'll be the all-time rookie touchdown passes record. So kudos to Justin Herbert. Hope he gets it this week when he beats the Broncos. Take the Chargers.
Taking the Chargers. And Denver at Los Angeles Chargers kicks off the 4 o'clock portion of all of the games. And again, no Thursday night. So the first game was Friday. 3 of the games that we talked about, Tampa Bay, Detroit, San Fran, Arizona, and Miami at the Raiders, are Saturday games, Benny. You didn't make any plans for Saturday, did you?
Are you kidding me? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'm in heaven.
Oh, man. Sunday. Okay, so this kicks off the Denver Chargers game, kicks off the 4 o'clock portion of the game. You have 2 4:05 games, 2 4:25 games, and then the Sunday night game at 8:20. Let's talk about the next game in the lineup. Panthers at Washington Football Team. Bias plus score of 33 favors the Washington Football Team. Now, are you going to talk about Dwayne Haskins, or am I going to talk about Dwayne Haskins?
Well, I think I know what you're going to say about Dwayne Haskins. So let me get the football stuff out of the way. This guy's horrible, okay? When he came into the draft, I warned people that I didn't think this guy had the goods. After seeing him play, not only did I know he didn't have the goods, but I don't think he's ever going to be an NFL quarterback. I think he's going to go the way of a lot of other guys who just kind of bounce from team to team to out of the league. That's what he looks like to me. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not hating on the guy. You know, I assume he's a decent guy. But this guy cannot lead a professional football team. Plain and simple. They lost to Seattle. It was 20-15. They never were really in the game. He only completed 38 passes, but he threw the ball 55 times.
55?
55 times he threw the ball. Yeah, because, you know, their number 1 running back, Antonio Gibson's got turf toe. And Peyton Barber just, yeah, you know what I mean? McKissick had a good day, but McKissick is the passing back, so to speak. So he doesn't get a lot of yards from scrimmage. So basically the running game was, you know what I mean? Threw the ball 55 times. You would think he was trying to come back from a big deficit, but Seattle only scored 20. So he's throwing the ball all over the doggone place and just missing people. 295 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. So he was just bad. The Panthers, on the other hand, excuse me, lost to Green Bay 24-16. Don't be fooled if you watch this game. The Packers came out, jumped on them early, and then, according to some folks, kind of shut it down. I didn't see it that way. I think they went into the second half a little bit lax, and the Panthers defense turned it up. Because if you remember correctly, they sacked Aaron Rodgers like 5 times. They were coming, and the Packers really couldn't get much going in the second half. Thank goodness for Aaron Jones had his normal day. I don't have his numbers right in front of me, but we'll talk about them in a little bit. Otherwise, Green Bay might have been hard-pressed to pull that game out at the end. But, again, quarterback play. Teddy Bridgewater is regressing, bro. I don't know what's happening to this guy. He's making bonehead mistakes. He's throwing the ball erratically, throwing worm balls, looking like McNabb back in the day. Rushing when he doesn't have to. It's crazy. This is a tough game for me. If Haskins starts, I like the Panthers. If Alex Smith starts, I like Washington. But I can't wait and see who's going to start. I have to pick one. So I'm going to pick Washington. Whew, man, that was hard.
Well, Washington has the defense. Let's face it. That if there's one strong suit that they have the fifth ranked defense. Now their defense is so good that they wound up 14th in net points, and although they were 26 in scoring. So yeah, I know what you're saying about Teddy. They're stuck in the lower level of mediocrity at 22nd ranked offense there. So, that's kind of the way that rolls. So, Alex, Alex is seriously talking about coming back and maybe playing this game.
Yes, yes, he's got a calf injury. They never made it sound like it was very serious. I kind of got the feeling that they held him out last week as a precaution. So today is Wednesday. Either later on tonight, I might be able to check some sources, or wait until tomorrow morning and see if he had at least a limited practice today. And if he did, then I'll just have to monitor between, well, they don't play till the weekend. So monitor and make sure that he has a full practice on Friday. And then I'll feel a lot better about picking Washington. But if he doesn't play, I'm not going to feel good about that game at all. I mean, I think defensively they can give Teddy enough problems that they can still pull out the win. But Haskins he's all over the place, man. And now he's got other problems, which I guess we'll talk about in the commentary. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll hold that off to the commentary because as somebody once said on TV, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not even football. So, okay, let's move right along. You're taking Washington, assuming Alex Smith.
Well, I have to take, I'm going to take Washington
anyway.
Yes, I'm taking Washington.
Well, that defense. All right, here we go. Eagles at Cowboys, division time. Bias plus score 35 favors Jalen Hurts and the Eagles against Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, and he's still healthy, right? I'm not missing anything, right? And the Cowboys.
Oh, Andy Dalton's fine. Yeah, he's great.
All right, so this is an interesting bias because I think a lot of what's going against the Cowboys are a lot of their early losses or losses since Dak. And the Eagles had a few closer games, and then Hurts actually won a game. So favorites the Eagles. Who do you have for this one?
All right, so let me talk about the Cowboys first. So they played your Niners last week, and they won the game 41-33, and it was a big win, and it was a really good win for them. Andy Dalton came out, he missed some early throws, and then he was 19-33, 209 yards through 2 touchdown passes. Tony Pollard, who's been backing up Zeke Elliott and was actually carrying a 4 or 5 yard per carry average, even though he only got a few carries per game, got a chance to start a game and really blew up. Ran the ball 12 times for 69 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He also had 6 receptions out of the backfield for 63 yards. That's huge. That's huge. I'm trying to remember the last time Zeke had that many yards catching the ball. I can't remember. Pollard did get most of his running yards on a 50-yard run, though, 150-yard run, but it was a big play nonetheless. CeeDee Lamb had 5 catches for 85 yards. He did not find the end zone on offense, but he did find the end zone recovering a special teams play, an onside kick. So that's 2 times in the last couple of weeks. People in fantasy are going bananas because under normal circumstances, a skill position player does not get special team points. So now I'm going to have to redo the rules in all my fantasy leagues to allow that to happen. And it probably won't happen again for another 5 years. But yeah. I digress. Anyway, good game by the Cowboys against what I thought was going to be I thought the Niners would give them a lot tougher battle than that. Now, let's talk about the Eagles real quick. And I know people think I put a lot of extra into the Eagles, but the Eagles are interesting and they're a hot topic of conversation, even on television now. So I'm going to make them my hot topic too. So they're at Arizona. They lose the game 33-26. And I cut on the radio to listen to all the gloom and doom, and everybody's hype. Everybody's hype because Jalen Hurts, okay? I'm not here to dismiss or talk bad about Jalen Hurts. I like the guy, okay? I didn't think it was right that they drafted him where they did. I think they could have still got him later that round or in a later round, but that's besides the point. They have him. I think he's going to turn out to be a pretty good NFL quarterback. Let me put it this way. He didn't have as great a game as people are saying that he did. Now, let me qualify this. He threw for 338 yards. He threw 3 touchdown passes. Okay. He ran the ball for 63 yards. He ran in a touchdown. I didn't say anything bad yet, did I?
Nope.
He rolled out, dropped the ball, picked it back up, and threw a strike to Goddard on the sideline. All that stuff's spectacular. But he was 24 of 44. That ain't good. So everything he did well, he did extremely well. He's very exciting. He's new out there. People are getting used to watching him and all that stuff. But the competition's watching him too. Another game film under everybody's belts. Don't be surprised if things start to get a little bit tougher. Now, granted, it's the end of the season. There's only 2 games left. Obviously, he's starting this week. I'm sure whether they win or lose, he's going to start again in week 17. And then we'll see the circus in the offseason as far as Carson Wentz and all is concerned. But I think the Eagles had a better chance of winning this game, except for the fact that they still refuse to run the ball. They think because they got a quarterback that can run now, that they'll just give him pass plays, and if things break down, then they'll get all their rushing from him. And they keep forgetting about Miles Sanders. What's wrong with Miles Sanders? He got 17 carries. He had 64 yards. That's good if you're winning. But if you're not winning and it's a close game and it's a winnable game, you have to feed your number one back. You have to show commitment to the running game. It only makes you better, especially when you're playing a rookie quarterback. If they run the ball more, they win that game. Bottom line is their coaches can't be trusted. We got another week of film on Hurts. I'm taking the Cowboys.
Ooh, okay. All right. Well, that adds up. Can't be mad at you on that. All right. Potential intriguing game. Within the division with my beloved 49ers, Rams at Seahawks. Look at that bias, Benny. 1.
Oh, this has to be the intriguing game.
Now, this is what's crazy about this game, okay? The net point bias went to the Rams. It was a net point of 2.
Okay.
The turnover differential bias went to the Seahawks at +3.
Okay.
Ergo,
Here
one
we go.
favoring
1 point favorites to Seahawks.
Seahawks.
All right.
Mm.
And if I remember correctly, and I think I remember correctly because I know my eyes were drawn to it and I was going to say something about it, but I didn't. But I believe when we were going over the rankings and we looked at the turnover differential rankings, the Rams were pretty low. In fact, I'm pretty sure they were in the minus.
You're talking about the one that we went over earlier in this show?
Yes.
Well, I can tell you that the Rams are 20th and they are -1 in turnover differential.
Correct. And the Seahawks are?
The Seahawks were +2.
Exactly.
That's your
Okay, so you
three.
say
That's
minus
your
one
differential
plus
three
two.
right
The
there.
big deal. The deal is, and we got to remember this, those numbers are based on takeaways and giveaways. So if you're minus, that means you give it away more than you take it away.
Yep.
If you plus, you take it away more than you give it away. And I like to say also that you're a little bit more careful with the ball. You don't turn the ball over. Russell Wilson does not turn the ball over. In fact, that one game he had 2 interceptions. I was shocked. Okay. Chris Carson does not fumble. Carlos Hyde does not fumble. DK Metcalf, Lockett. They got good hands. They catch the ball. They run the ball. Nobody punches it out. They don't turn the ball over. The Rams do. The Rams have been through 3 running backs, recycled back through them again. Cam Akers finally got the job, had a decent game. 15 carries, 63 yards, boom, gets a high ankle sprain. He's out. Now they got to come back with Malcolm Brown or Darrell Henderson. Henderson hasn't seen the field in at least 2 weeks. Brown comes on and pass blocks, doesn't get any carries. Oh, yeah. Rams got problems. I'm going to take the Seahawks on this one. I gotta take the Seahawks. Jared Goff hasn't been extremely impressive either. Obviously, they had the problems with the Jets last week, but yeah, I don't like the way the Rams are looking. And the boy genius there on the sideline, what's his name? Lynchy or whatever his name is. Yeah, he looks a little weird with that. With the he's one guy that even though he's got a mask on, you can still kind of see how he feels. Like his body language is like he's looking like, what the hell's going on out there? I mean, he's really perplexed. Yeah, I got to go with Russell, man. I'm going with Russell and the Seahawks.
You mentioned Carlos Hyde. I want to give a shout out to my former Niners, who both last week, him and Frank Gore, had nice weeks running the ball. So it was nice to see those two guys still chugging along.
Man,
I'm a Niner guy. Where I even like I still throw love at my old Niners. I even, rest in peace. Kevin Green passed away. He wore the Niner uniform for a hot minute. Mostly known for his time with the Rams and the Steelers. But long story short, when you go red and gold, you're red and gold, no doubt about it. So
hey, I got no problem with that. That people on Facebook are trying to hate on your boy Gore though, because he's like number 4 or 5 on the rushing list now. People are like, oh, Hall of Fame, and you know what I mean. And people are like, what? Who? Frank Gore? And I'm thinking to myself, some of you young puppies on here don't remember him when he was at the U, and when he first came out of college, like. Yeah, he's been in the league a long time, but he racked those numbers. He racked up those numbers.
And let me tell you something. Being in the league that long ain't easy.
Okay? That's right. You got to get credit.
A lot of injuries.
He should get credit for his longevity.
Yeah.
On top of that, you can't say his numbers are inflated because he's been in the league a long time. You got to say, this guy's been in the league a long time and stayed healthy enough to get those numbers. That's like people talking about Kareem. Oh, he played 20 years. Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Who else does that?
That in itself is a feat.
Absolutely.
That in and of itself is a feat. All right. So you going with
Seahawks.
Next up. Again, potential intriguing game. This actually is the leading candidate as far as I'm concerned for intriguing game of the week, because I want to see what the Packers defense is going to do with Derrick Henry. That's what I want to see.
I agree. This has to be. This is definitely my intriguing game if I had to pick one.
Is it really?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Right. Score 8 favorites the Packers.
The only game I'd rather see than this one would be Bills Packers. I'm just, this is going to be a good game.
No doubt. And it is the Sunday night game, 8:20 in Green Bay. And I think it's going to be out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it's gonna be pretty cold.
So there's gonna be a lot of running going on, man. I can't wait to see what
Yeah.
Derrick Henry does. I think that if anything, that's what is intriguing me most, to see how the Packers defense handles that. So who you got here?
Well, let me just say, and I mentioned this earlier, about the Packers win over Carolina. They came out, they jumped on them early. In fact, I think they had like a 3-touchdown lead at halftime or something. And then it seemed like the whole game plan changed. My thing is, you got to keep running the ball, okay? But you also kind of want to keep your foot on the other team's neck a little bit, especially early on in the third quarter, where they seem to kind of shut it down a little bit. But then the other school of thought was that the Panthers just said, you know what? He's not going to run up the score on us. We're sending the house, and we're going to put Mr. Rogers on his behind. And that's what they did. So, and I seem to be leaning toward that scenario because Aaron Jones still got his 20 carries. He had 145 yards. That's a great day. He scored a touchdown. You know what I mean? But Aaron was not Aaron in that second half. And it was the pressure that did it to him. And Carolina is not known for great pass pressure. I mean, they're okay, but they're not in the tops, I would think, of pass rushing defenses. So that struck me as that kind of made me look at the Packers offensive line a little bit funny. Now, on the other hand, ooh, man, Titans went into Detroit. No, I'm sorry. Detroit came to see the Titans and got the doors blown off, 46-25. So you say, well, it's the Lions. They supposed to be them. No, they crushed these boys for real. For real. The 25 is only a result of the fact that the Titans defense really isn't good at all, but they're front runners and they can pin their ears back when their offense is cooking, and they were cooking. In the first half, Derrick Henry left, Derrick Henry right, Derrick Henry up the middle, 24 carries, 147 yards in all, 1 touchdown, even scored on a 2-point conversion. A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, superb wide receiver combination, superb. Everybody knew A.J. Brown was going to be good. He had a great rookie season last year. Nobody was paying any attention to Corey Davis. I had to think real hard because Corey Davis is a veteran. He used to play for the Dolphins when they were bad. In fact, I think he was there when Tannehill was there, and they were bad. And now Corey Davis is big play Corey, okay? The Titans are doing everything right now. Tannehill, ultra efficient. And remember, I said this earlier in some earlier videos. The times that the Titans lose, it's usually because the other team slows Derrick Henry, because you can't stop him, but they slow him down enough and keep him out of the end zone, and Tannehill can't take up the slack. Well, he must have watched our video and heard me say that. 21 of 27 in a game that they're dominating on the ground. 21 of 27, 273, 3 touchdown passes, 3 carries, 21 yards, 2 more touchdowns, no turnovers. Take the Titans.
The interesting thing about this number, as it came out with an 8, kind of like when we were talking about the 1, the game where we had bias plus of 1, where the Titans have the number 1 offense, okay? They came in 7th in terms of net points. Green Bay came in 8th in terms of net points, okay? I'm sorry. Green Bay came in 5th. I knew something was wrong there, man. They came in 5th. So right. Green Bay came in with 95 net points. Tennessee came in with 80. That's 15 net points favoring Green Bay.
Right.
However, the Titans are also number one in turnover differential. They were
Yes.
plus 12. The Packers were plus 5. So the Packers were favored, net points wise, but the Titans are favored. That's 7 turnover differential favoring the Titans, and that brought that down to a bias plus of 8. So you got a couple things going on there, some serious turnover differential that's been factoring into their games, and the number one offense versus the number 3. The number 3 offense, but the number 1 offense is facing the number 14 defense, and Green Bay's number 3 offense is favoring the Tennessee Titans number 21 defense. And that's what I kept saying about the Titans is I keep seeing their defense being in the lower half of the league, and I keep getting surprised because I keep thinking that they're better on defense. So this is what makes this game so intriguing to me. This looks like a real good Sunday night game. Game time 8:20. Looks like a real good one. Could be one of the games of the week.
This is an awesome game. 2 really good quarterbacks that are on their game right now, 2 really good running backs, and 2 leaky defenses. This is going to be fantastic.
All right, you're going with the Packers?
Now I'm taking the Titans.
Going against the bias with the Titans against the Packers.
I'm taking the Titans.
Okay. Going with that turnover differential on number 1 offense. All right. Okay, next up. And last up for the week, the Monday night division matchup against the Patriots at New England, and the Buffalo Bills. Bias plus score of 80 favors the Bills. What are the Patriots going to do? Are they going to play Cam? Are they going to play Stidham? What
Does
do
it
they
really matter?
Well, it only mattered relative to who plays. No, the Bills I expect to win in any event. Excuse me. But it is interesting because we talked about all of the genius coaches, and Belichick is a genius coach, who have these really questionable backups. And I keep saying, if you're such a genius, you didn't know that this guy, is not able to carry your team, So you were talking about Stidham early in the season, like he was going to be the one, and then you brought Cam in and made him the one. Were you really serious? Were you just feeding us malarkey about Stidham? Because he's still on the payroll, and if he's not the man, then what are you doing? So, should be, hopefully it'll be a good game, because division games are always weird games. They're always, generally good games. So I would expect it is the last game of this week, and it's Monday night. So bias plus score 80 favors the Bills, and you have
the Bills.
The Bills.
It's only fitting that the team who's been suffering under the thumb of Bill Belichick for decades now gets to pretty much smack them around on their own field in Foxborough in front of their loudmouth, obnoxious fans. I don't even know what else to say. I want to say more, but it's just crazy. I really like the Bills. I told everybody I like the Bills. I don't know if it's the blue and red combo matchup. It's the state of New York. I don't know what it is, but I like the Bills. I liked them last year. I like them even better coming into this year. I predicted that they would win the division. They have, and the Patriots are down. I can remember some years back when you probably might have been sitting around thinking, how good can the Patriots be? How many more Super Bowls are these guys going to win? Like, when are they ever going to have a down year? Everybody gets one, and this is theirs, okay? They're down. I don't care if they play Stidham. I don't care if they play Cam. In fact, they probably should play Stidham at this point. If I was them, I would sit Cam down, play Stidham, take my lumps, and then start over again next year. You either draft somebody or get a free agent, bring somebody in to compete with Cam, because Cam ain't right.
compete with Cam. That makes an assumption that you think that they're going to try to hold on to him next year.
At first, yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because he's playing so poorly down the stretch. I do the same thing that the Eagles did with Wentz. Don't give anybody any more negative game tape to look at. They got enough. They got enough. If we're ever going to get rid of this guy, we got to sit him down and give him an opportunity to compete for the job next year. Maybe put some good tape together in the preseason or something, or the first couple games, and then we can unload him. Because nobody wants Cam Newton now. Oh, who's the worst team in the league? They wouldn't take Cam Newton right now. He looks horrible. He looks mechanical. He's even his strength, which is running the ball, he doesn't look good. He's awful. It's a shame. Yeah, I like the Bills in a blowout in this one.
Bills in a blowout. All right. Well, Bills in a blowout wraps up week 16 for the Monday night, December 28th game. And that wraps up the Bias Plus reports, except for, Benny, you know, there's always one last thing we like to talk about when it comes to the Bias Plus reports.
Who that? The Buster? Who the Buster?
The Bias Plus Buster of the week. For week 15, congratulations to the New York stinking Jets.
They earned it. They earned it. Yeah.
They were an unfavorable bias of 290.
Bro, it's not like they beat Jacksonville. You know what I mean? They earned that win. You can't. People are talking about, oh, the fans are mad because now they're not going to get Trevor Lawrence. Them players don't care about Trevor Lawrence. They're trying to win, man. Nobody wants to be known as a guy that was on the team that went 0-16, 0-7. Come on now. Come on now. Players don't tank. Coaches and GMs tank. Players do not tank. All right? They earned that win. I'm proud of them.
I'm telling you, sitting there watching that game, and I'm like, holy mackerel. Because, again, I see two ways that people win, right? You have a small bias and they win big, or you have a big bias going against them, and then if they score 1 point, there's a Bias Plus Buster of the week. And that's what happened there. These guys were tremendous underdogs here, and they got it done, and that's what counts. So congratulations to the New York Jets, the week 15 Bias Plus Buster of the week. Okay, that wraps up the Bias Plus reports portion of the Ben and Barry show. Next up, commentary. All right, Benny. So in this portion, we talk about commentary. This is a chance when we can give some opinion because, you know, in the net point power rankings, we have no opinion and no conjecture coming from this side anyway. But we can do all the opinion we want to do in the commentary section. And we go to the Ben and Barry Facebook page to lead us through. So let's look first and foremost. We talked a little bit about how good Marcus Mariota looked in his relief time for the Raiders. Nice way to make $1 million. Just come on in and in relief, and boom, an extra $1 million in the paycheck there. So we just thought we want to throw that out there. You know, that's a nice quiet nil. You know.
Oh, wait. So he had nice. He got that put into his contract.
Yeah.
That if I have to come in and fill in for Derek Carr, y'all gonna give me $1 million, and they say, yeah, we'll be fine with that. Carr never gets hurt.
So much for that. Let's roll up to the next one. All right, Benny. My favorite whipping boy, who you just love to defend. So I had to put this up here because his number one receiver, Justin Jefferson, on video cursing at Kirk Cousins, talking about, I ain't no diva, just throw the ball. Just throw the ball. You know, it's funny. I'm going to be utilizing a different set of numbers. I want to begin looking at quarterbacks relative to their passer rating and relative to their QBR. And I'm seeing some stark differences. Passer rating doesn't take into account their negative plays. QBR does.
Right.
And QBR is closely connected to net points. And that's what happened. You know, just so happened right before the show, the NFL channel was actually playing the Vikings-Bears game. And just listening to the commentary during the game as they talked about Kirk Cousins saying things like, we thought he'd be further along than what he is. We thought he'd be making better decisions than what he does in some of these crucial times. So it's just interesting, you know, to hear what's going on with Kirk Cousins. And again, I'm not anti-Kirk Cousins. I just thought it was, you know, and you can't be mad at him, but he got that contract. His job in that contract was to take them to the Super Bowl, to take them the next step. They were at the NFC Championship step. They needed to take that next step. That's why they gave him that contract, and it just has not happened. I didn't think it would, but, you know.
Yeah, but it's not his fault.
What's not his fault?
They got a lot more problems than him.
Well, your quarterback has problems. There's problems. He's not the guy to overcome the problems they have.
I didn't say he didn't have anything to do with it. They got a lot.
Not his fault. It was partially his fault.
They paid him because they thought at that time, the way their team was structured, that he was the missing link, that he would be the difference, that he could take this team as it was and get them over the hump. He didn't do it. And then the team began to get worse instead of better, especially defensively. Now, they got a lot more problems than just him. Every game they lost isn't because he didn't play well.
Well, you and I were going to disagree about that to some degree. He's got stats and then he's got stats. But the bottom line is he is not the quarterback that's going to take you to the Super Bowl. They made that decision. They paid him as such. That's on the Vikings. That's on them. I ain't mad at Kirk Cousins. I'd have taken the money too if they were going to pay me at that level. So I ain't mad at them. I just didn't expect what they expected. And it looks as if my expectations are about there. Okay.
So how come you don't rip Carson Wentz the same way? How come you don't rip Dak Prescott the same way?
Well, first of all, Carson Wentz, this year is Carson Wentz's year to really look bad. He hasn't necessarily looked as bad in previous years. Last year, he was winning with, they didn't even know who the guys that were playing with.
I'm going to let Kirk Cousins go for that year because that was his year to look bad. You never said anything close to that. So how you
the thing about Kirk Cousins, again, you're bringing in another quarterback, but you and I have had specific conversations about Kirk Cousins.
That's right. We're talking about money, not the player.
So all of this, what about other quarterbacks? Forget them guys. We were talking about Kirk Cousins. I was specifically talking about Kirk Cousins. So we leave it.
We're talking about a specific thing about Kirk Cousins, which was the amount of money that they paid him because they felt like they were paying him to get a certain job done that he didn't get done. That happens every year with multiple people, but you just like to hold on to Kirk Cousins like a dog on a bone. That's on my only point. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying
well, then.
I'm just saying you ride him hard. That's why I defend him when I get a chance to. I could
Well,
care
man,
less.
you will have plenty of chances because I'm going to continue to ride him hard.
Okay, that's fine.
He's continuing to be mediocre at best.
He's better than mediocre, bro. Stop.
Well, see, there we go. Here we go. But I'm going to be able to show you, and we're going to have further conversations, and I'm going to be able to show you numerically what I'm talking about. Okay?
I hope so.
Can we move forward?
Certainly can.
This is a list of athletes who returned to Ohio State to complete their degrees, including Ryan Shazier, former Steelers linebacker who suffered a career-ending injury. Actually went back to school, got his degree. It came out in the news. So very proud of him. But there was a number of athletes who did that. And I just, we like to talk about positive stuff when we can about with the NFL. So I just wanted to make sure I put this up here. Ben and Barry on football for a list of those athletes that returned to Ohio State and completed their degree. Okay, fine? Still with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. We talked about Kevin Green passing at 58, third all-time in career sacks. They had a really nice show about him, his life, and what he had to go through just to get on the field. He was a guy that, he didn't have early success. He had early failure. He had to come back from early failure in college, be able to get on the field as a walk-on, and then begin to excel. So if you get a chance, take a look. That was a really interesting show that they had on the NFL channel on Kevin Green.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's really good. It's been out for a while.
Good show. Good show. All right. You and I are not fans of the Pro Bowls, but they had their selection, so we did put them up on the page today. I'm not going to get it. I know you can't see all of those names and stuff.
Yeah, it's really small, but I am a fan of people being selected for the Pro Bowl. I'm just not a fan of watching them play each other.
That might be true. That might be true. But again,
But
you have the Pro Bowl and then you have the All-Pro selection.
Well, that's actually two different things.
Yes, I know. And I'm much more a fan of the All-Pro selection.
Absolutely, because that's the true list.
All right, there you go. But if you want to know who made the Pro Bowl this year, Ben and Barry on football. 2020 season TD leaders, just wanted to put that list up here. There you go. Tyreek Hill, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, and Devontae Adams putting up the heavy.
Now, let me say something about this. This just sparked something in my mind that I was thinking about a couple of days ago. Just random football thoughts just rumbling through my head. Okay. Every year for the past, I don't know, I'm going to take a random shot and say 5 years, probably been longer. Okay. Just around sometimes in the off season or when somebody's trying to get a contract or right before the draft, you start hearing about how the running back position ain't so important anymore. How running backs are just not really, they're not going to get the big contracts, or you're not going to see running backs getting taken in the first round like you used to and all that. And then you bring up that list and there's 5 guys on it and 3 of them are running backs.
Yeah.
So, that always baffles me. Like, we're talking about football, okay? And football has changed some over the years. In some respects, you could say that football's changed a lot over the years, right? But one thing doesn't change. If you don't have at least a good running game and a better than average defense, you can forget about getting the Super Bowl ring. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. You either have to have a great defense and a really good running game, or a great running game and a really good defense. You got to have some combination of those two things. Because if you can't run the ball, no offense can sustain themselves for an entire NFL season through a playoff run just throwing the ball. Not going to happen.
Yeah, and I think early in the season when the weather's nice and you can get away with all that passing, it kind of lulls you into that. And then as the weather begins to change, that running back becomes that much more important in the scheme of things. And again, that's why I was so intrigued by this Green Bay Packer Titans game, because in that frigid tundra, I'm expecting to see some serious run game from both teams, because both teams have good running backs, no doubt about it. So
I can't wait for that game, man.
Oh man, that game.
It's going to be a track meet.
It's going to be yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Track meet on ice.
Crazy. Well, I hope the field isn't ice. No, they got heaters under their field.
Yeah, I'm just joking about that.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I don't want to see a sloppy field. I want to see
it's no longer frozen; it's heated.
Yeah. I want to see some action. I don't want it to be sloppy.
I think it's going to be plenty of that. Okay, that's all that we have on the page. We said we were going to maybe talk a little bit about Dwayne Haskins' situation, and this is not nice. And on one of the TV shows, they have a part where they say no disrespect, and as soon as the person says no disrespect, he's about to disrespect you.
Exactly. That's usually what happens.
So my three knuckleheads are Dwayne Haskins, okay, Jameis Winston, right? Who's the third one?
What Jameis do?
He's just Jameis.
Oh, okay. You just saying knuckleheads in general.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
Yes. And oh God, there's one other that I'm missing out on here.
A knucklehead?
Who else did something? Oh, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
The third knucklehead. Yes. He has no idea about the history of going out on other teams' logos, as if he never saw T.O. get knocked off of the logo for going on there and trying to do that. Jameis can't beat out a guy who's essentially a special teamer tight end at the quarterback position.
Oh, you're being hard. You're being hard on him. You're being hard on him.
Eating them stupid W's. He didn't know.
I can't defend him on that one. That's nasty.
That's just nasty. And then Dwayne Haskins, dude, you have the opportunity of a lifetime to come in and be a leader. To be a leader, forget the football part. Just to be a leader. You had the C on your jersey. You are a captain. And you go out, lose a game, and then go celebrate in a strip club, maskless, and get videotaped. Now, the thing that I did ask here, Benny, was, okay, what is the protocol when you've obviously broken protocol, to bring you back? How do they bring you back? Like, do you have to go into a quarantine or what? And they aren't talking about holding him out at all. I did look it up in the rules, and there's nothing about that in the rules that say you have to keep him out for a period of time. But what I will give the NFL credit is this: they test daily. And so when they say he looks as if he should be able to come in and play, that he doesn't look like a threat to the safety of the other players, he's probably been tested. And they've got the one test that takes about 24 hours to come back. And then they've got the other test that takes about 15 minutes to come back. And then they got the other test that says that you had it at one time in your life. So he's probably getting tested. If they can go with Alex Smith, I know they will. It just makes sense. But come on, man. You had this opportunity to be a leader, to be the guy that, to be a leader. Let me just leave it at that, because that in and of itself is an accomplishment. And so, ergo, Juju, Jameis, Dwayne, my three knuckleheads, the three stooges. Come on, you guys. What are you doing?
Wait a minute. Let's take a second here. First of all, Jameis has always been a little weird anyway. So he's generally speaking, he's weird. But to attach the whole Taysom Hill thing to him, I don't think that's fair. Until I actually hear an NFL insider say that they talked to this person or that person, and they heard that the Saints coaching staff decided to go with Taysom instead of him because they didn't like his practice habits, or he didn't learn the whole playbook, or the other guy was just better than him in practice, which I find extremely hard to believe.
And I don't.
Or some, okay, all right, that's cool. So, you know, until I hear that, because usually you'll get something like that. If there's a controversy and they say, well, why'd they pick this guy instead of this guy? Somebody will say, I heard, or so-and-so told me, or I have a source that said. I haven't heard anything. Nothing at all, except for somebody said, and it was one of the it was Schefter or one of them guys said, a source told him that for whatever reason, we can disagree all day, but for whatever reason, they decided that at that time, they were going to take a chance and see what they had in Taysom Hill. I'm telling you, man, they haven't. When's the last time they drafted a quarterback? They haven't drafted any quarterbacks.
That's true.
Taysom Hill's been on this team how long? At least 3 years?
At least.
Okay. They pretty much are bringing him along slow and still getting play out of him because he can do so many things. So they said, you know what? We're going to take this package, most of which he already knows. We don't have to coach him up, and put him out there and see if he can at least execute this. And we would have to go back and see when Breeze got hurt, because the game that Breeze got hurt, they brought Jameis in. That's a backup quarterback. But then the next week, when they knew that Breeze couldn't play, it went past being a backup quarterback. And it went to, who do we want to be the quarterback? That's, and I don't know why. I don't know the reasoning, but that's what happened in my book. They didn't say Taysom get out there, Breeze is hurt. So, you know, and you could be right. Maybe James just isn't getting it done. I don't know. But I don't think that's the case. I don't see anything that's so tough about their offense that he can't get it. The man just threw 30 touchdowns a year ago.
This is what I'm saying. What if, you know, all you had to do, if you cut your interceptions in half, you look like a hero.
And they said that too when they brought him in. When they decided to take his contract, that's what they said. They said this guy threw 30 touchdowns. If he cuts the interceptions in half, we might really have something here. That's why they brought him in. What other reason would they have to bring him in? They didn't have to hire him.
Here's your three-way call between Jameis, okay, Dwayne, and Juju.
Nah, man. You that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It does for Dwayne.
That's for Dwayne.
Yeah, it does for Dwayne, because Dwayne still ain't used to being a celebrity. Like, dude, you're an NFL football player.
Gosh.
People got cameras on stuff on you all the time. But that's beside the point. Now, Juju, I'm going to cut Juju a little bit of slack too. And I'll tell you why.
Let me guess.
Go ahead.
Because of his age.
No, I'm not going to say because of his age specifically.
Okay, go ahead.
He is one of them young, fun-loving type of guys. Okay? I can see him being the guy in the locker room that says, come on, y'all, let's get our touchdown dances together for this weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can see him being the ringleader of that. You know what I mean? So going out and dancing on the logo, to him, I don't think it's so much I'm going to go dance on their logo. I think it's I'm going to go out and do some moves in the middle of the field in my pregame warm-up before I go in and put my uniform on. Boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, bop, boom, bop, bop. I don't think he's thinking, because it was just 2 weeks ago that the Titans and the Ravens was almost rumbling because somebody was standing on the logo. Remember that?
Well, this is my whole point. If I know it and you know it, he's in the NFL. And
Right.
someone did ask the question, where is the coaching on this?
Again, because they know, I don't even know the guy. But just from watching interviews and hearing him talk and hearing people talk about him, I think they look at him the same way. He don't mean nothing by it. You know what I mean? Remember, the Ravens-Titans thing was the coach called the team out to the middle of the field for like a meeting. I think he didn't call out the entire team. I think he called the defense out. He was out there standing there talking to somebody. And he's like, yo, come in, y'all. I want to tell you something. And they happened to be standing on the logo. They didn't do that on purpose. And then somebody from the Ravens was like, yo, why they having a meeting on our logo? And that's how it started. So they didn't even mean nothing by it. But they're like, well, you're not gonna make us move. You know what I mean? It got macho. what Juju's doing, ain't nobody paying no attention to him. He's not even having a good season.
He's tick-tocking.
Yeah, exactly. That's kid stuff.
Come on, dude.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And that hit he got, that was the only bad hit he had the whole game. You know why he got the hit? Not because he was dancing on the logo, because the boy had him in his sights and lined him up and clocked him. Period. And then people took the thing and put it to that. It wasn't like he was getting tackled any harder than anybody else. He just on that play, the guy got him in his sights. And yes, you just said yourself, you got to be more physical, bring the physical. Somehow the Bengals decided they won't be physical. And guess what? He got his shot and he took it.
Well, he sure enough did. All right. That wraps up any commentary from me. Mr. Dickerson, you have any final closing comments?
Nah, I really don't, except for I still love my New York Giants. I don't know if they're going to win any more games this season. There's 2 games left. I don't know about this weekend. I already picked against them, so I don't expect them to win, but I think they have a division game next week. I would like to see them win that and just cause more turmoil in this crazy NFC East. But other than that,
hold it,
my boys.
Hold it. I do have one thing I did want to mention.
Oh, what's that?
I want to jump ahead to week 17 real quick, because this week we have a Monday night game, right?
Yes, I think it's probably the last one.
The following week, week 17, Sunday, January 3rd, no Thursday night, no Friday night, no Monday night, everything.
Saturday and Sunday.
Sunday, last game of the season.
Wait, no Saturday games?
Nope.
Oh,
Everything's on Sunday.
Okay, cool.
You have 3 425 games. The Vegas, Denver, Arizona Rams, and the Seattle Niners. Then I looked at week 17. It seems as if every game on the slate is a division game.
That's great.
Isn't that crazy? That's
only a few of them are going to mean anything now.
But every game is a division game. So I don't remember actually realizing that about any other week of the season. They don't do that normally on week 17. That's not the standard that you know of, is it?
Not that I know of. It may have just come out that way, or may have been real close enough to coming out that way that they decided to make it that way. But it won't really matter unless somebody is in a position to play a lesser team in their division, and that team bumps them from a playoff spot or something. Like there's some wild card teams, some guys hanging on to a wild card that might lose their grip.
I mean, you got your NFC East. Washington's at Philly.
Oh, that one's going down to the wire.
And Dallas at New York.
Yeah,
That's next week.
that division is going down to the wire. All them games mean something. All of those games mean something.
I'm telling you.
I'm not going to say I'll be mad if the Eagles win the division, but I'll be mad if they win the division because they got that tie. That's going to hurt me. I don't want that to happen. I really don't want that to happen. If somebody says the Eagles won because and then they had that tie, oh boy, I'm going to be pissed.
All right, I wanted to throw that in there. Back to you. Final comments.
My final comment is what my final comment is every week, and that is go Noles.